This is Chica. It does not look like Chica at all.
This is a clip of 7-year-old me looking at a teaser for the upcoming game Fnaf 4.
Because Chica has a cupcake on her
I'm not
shoulder.
sure why I put this here, but it's kinda funny. Fnaf ripoffs has been a sub-series on the channel for quite a long time now, with each one being made in a completely different era of my time on YouTube. The Fnaf series itself has changed quite a lot since the release of my last Fnaf ripoffs videos. With the release of Security Breach introducing free roam to the series, a lot of the ripoff games now choose to adapt that. In fact, a lot of the ripoffs from my first video aren't even on the App Store anymore. So let's see what Fnaf ripoffs look like in the year 2023, and see if they've gotten better, or if they're somehow even worse than they were before. The first game we'll be looking at is BearPartyFallDown.io. Bears are cool, I like parties, so maybe this game might actually be fun. So I might have been mistaken. The game takes place on a bunch of tiles in an endless black void. Your goal is to go to the square that matches the desired Five Nights at Freddy's character's face, and be the last one standing. The platforms that don't have the right face on it end up falling over, and when those platforms fall, so do the characters standing on them, and they're never seen again. You have the ability to knock people off the stage by running into them, which can make levels last as little as even a few seconds at times. When everyone else dies, you can do a silly little dance. And at the end of every single level, you also have to watch an ad. So I highly suggest turning off your Wi-Fi before playing this game. Or, even better, consider not playing this game at all. Once you make it to a certain level, you're able to select a new character. Which, while there are a lot of FNAF characters, there's also a lot of non-FNAF characters. This game follows the typical voodoo hyper-casual art style, which doesn't help with the fact that there isn't any sound in this game, making it feel even more lifeless than the corporate art style already provided. The gameplay is very surface level and repetitive, with no actual learning curve or skill gap. You kinda just run towards your opponents and then towards the safe spaces. I can guarantee that even the animatronics from the games, who all move through a specific path, would be able to play this game no problem. Not like the bots you're up against are all that dissimilar from the mindless animatronics anyways. But as I said a second ago, you don't just have to play as FNAF characters. There are also characters from Poppy Playtime, Among Us, and even the doll from Squid Game. Wow, I sure wonder if the developers asked for the rights for these copyrighted characters. To unlock some characters, it even requires you to watch additional advertisements on top of the ones you already have to watch in literally every aspect of this game. You want to get Springtrap, don't you? Come on, watch some ads! Besides using different skins, this one little minigame is literally the entirety of the content this game has to offer. Every level just plays the same. Oh yes, I remember that part of Squid Game where my guy Squilliam L. Game plays games with Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics in a void. That was my favorite part. Overall, this game doesn't steal that much from the FNAF series, but it does steal the characters, as well as characters from other mascot horror games. The ragdoll physics are kinda goofy, but the entirety of the gameplay just consists of the same repetitive motions over and over again. This game is poo-poo fart, but I guess it's also a little goofy. Next, we have Breach Out All the Worlds. Every single one of them. Upon opening the game, you're greeted with a neural network and the option to choose a world, where you then get to choose one of 4 different worlds to play. Those being Glamrock Chica's arm, the title screen but turned into a house, the floor is lava in real life, and the safest gas station in Detroit. I think I'm gonna choose chapter 1 so that I can get the proper lore. Cause God forbid if I ruin my experience playing Breach Out All the Worlds. So we wake up in the evil digital Matrix world. And if you couldn't already tell, this is just another Escape the House style game. Your typical Mr. Meat or Grannies of this world. You need to get out of the house. You do this by finding items scattered around the area, like keys and codes to get through keypads. All the while, you need to avoid the clutches of the evil Glamrock Chica, who has the running speed of a dead child. After finding a key and discovering some hidden speedrun tech, I was able to open a box, and it had another key inside. Wow. I was able to make it to a bedroom that had a TV. On the TV was some cycling text with a code, which is obviously a reference to the classic movie film, Mortal Kombat: The Code. After learning the 4 digits, I looked and saw a horrifying enemy. The role of the killer in this game is played by Chica, and she moves comedically slowly while holding an axe. I mean, maybe she was just told to never run with an axe since it's a safety hazard, we don't know. We're also significantly taller than her, and she doesn't pose any sort of threat because of how easy it is to get around her, even in these tight, narrow spaces. And while I've complained in the past about these killer characters having too much range with their hitboxes, in this game it's the polar opposite, as you're able to run right past Chica with no consequences. Sure, she follows you around for a bit, but when you're able to just walk around her, anything that makes her threatening is immediately gone. The game even gives you a warning when she gets close to you, which I'd call unnecessary if it weren't for the fact that the text pops up when she's already in viewing distance, so at that point it's just redundant. After making some more progress, I was able to get outside and go under the house. There was nothing down there, so I'm not sure why it's an area you can go to. Maybe it was an unintentional addition, as I wouldn't be surprised if the map design here was taken straight from another pre-existing game. Especially when you take note of how out of place this brick texture looks compared to the garbage textures that litter the rest of this game. In the back of the yard, I made my way to a shed where I found a key to the outside world and a gun. So before making my way out, I decided to get a little bit of retribution. Idiot. Trying out another map, this is literally the worst looking gas station I've ever seen. I can't even get inside here. All the entrances are boarded up. Overall, this game is kinda quirky. It felt like a total fever dream, and I'm sure this won't be the last time I get that vibe from one of these games. Here's Block Pizza Five Nights. The game's first impression is a bit interesting to say the least. Here we have Minecraft Fnaf animatronics chasing after 2 security guards in the Fnaf 1 office, with Freddy behind our main characters. Then the title happens to be one of the worst font combinations I've ever seen. So, I don't like this one. Pixel Gun 3D is a pretty popular game, and one of the game modes you can play is a PvE survival game mode. This game basically takes that game mode and gets really greedy with it. This entire game is built on the idea of forcing you to watch ads in order to have fun. Your goal of the game is to eliminate every animatronic enemy. Some hold swords, and there are also several other types of guns that can also be held. The gun you're given varies depending on the level, but most guns are pretty good, being able to kill enemies with ease. That is, of course, until you run out of ammo. The guns in this game don't come with additional ammo. You have to either find it around the map or get a different gun. Unless, of course, you watch an advertisement to refill your magazine. That's how this game makes most of its money. That, paired with the player being able to watch an ad to get revived after dying. The aiming in this game is actual ass. Hitting the aim button often leaves you in a worse position than if you haven't, as aiming straight up removes the reticle in exchange for zooming in the screen a little bit. And I'm not even sure whether or not this was a bug or an intentional mechanic, since some guns work fine enough with this form of aiming. Funnily enough, the best way to beat these levels without watching ads is to be really sneaky and kill them in the back room like William Afton. If you go in guns blazing, or you just miss too many shots, then you're put in a really bad position where you can either watch an ad for more ammo or approach without a weapon. I get that being stealthy is probably the intended method for this game, but forcing the player to abide by your rules through the punishment of boredom doesn't exactly equate to a fun game. The first level has our main character in a Fnaf pizzeria, which makes sense with the theme, but after that, things immediately start to get unhinged. Here we're fighting the horde of animatronics in a graveyard. Still kind of on theme with the franchise, but then for level 3 we're here. Where even are we? The pearly gates of heaven? Why are we still fighting the exact same characters over and over again? I don't remember there being so many copies of the exact same Freddy. Things get even weirder as our next map is an abandoned mansion that looks like someone's dungeon. This map genuinely sucks. The game runs on a time limit, and because of the multiple floors, there's no way to tell where exactly the remaining enemies are. And they aren't even coming to you, since they don't even interact with you unless you either shoot them or get too close. Next, we're in purple. Yeah. Then we finally make it to our final map, some spooky woods. Throughout every one of the maps, the gameplay has largely stayed the same. Kill all enemies without dying yourself or losing too much ammo. The only difference between levels are the layouts of the levels themselves, as well as the amount of enemies you have to kill. And these woods are no different. Same old routine, but now on a linear pathway. I guess this isn't too bad. Oh, wait, where are the last two enemies? I better skip around the path to get them. Wait, no. So you're telling me that these spider webs are so dense that I can't jump through or over them? I'm not a religious person, but if there's a hell, I hope this developer burns for eternity. Overall, this game is genuinely terrible. Once again, the main ripoff aspect here is the character designs and the pizzeria map. The gameplay was taken from Pixel Gun, so just play that instead. This is Foxy 5 Puzzles Night. Wait, no, it's not working. Guys, I am devastated to announce this development, but it appears that Foxy 5 Puzzles has died. In exchange, I got Foxy Animal Merge 2048 instead. This game is yet another fever dream. The branding on the App Store and the title screen clearly shows depictions of Foxy from the Five Nights games. But in terms of actual gameplay, things are just bizarre. So this is a combination of two other games, and neither of those are Fnaf. It's like the classic game 2048 mixed with those merge games. You merge the animals to get better animals, and each animal has a corresponding number, with the winning objective being to get to 2048. The animals slowly go down over time to give you a sense of urgency, and you lose if they make it to the bottom. I genuinely don't know or understand why Foxy of all characters was used here. The fox in the actual game doesn't even look like him. Whatever. This still isn't helping with my immense depression directed at Foxy 5 Puzzles Night. Next, we got Five Nights Guard Stickman. I actually played a similar game to this in the very first Fnaf ripoffs video, and it wasn't very good. Maybe I'll be able to have some more fun with this one. So this game actually has nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy's. You play as a security guard, and you're given money to help a prisoner escape. You do this by answering various puzzles to get him through the rooms. First things first, you let him out of his cell. Then you put together a puzzle and use the code to unlock a door, allowing the prisoner to make it to door 3. Then you play a Mortal Kombat minigame. And I know it's a Mortal Kombat minigame because of the background music. After beating up the cop, you need to whitelist the escapee so that RoboCop doesn't kill him. Yes, that is just straight up RoboCop. Then you have to put the parts together to repair something, but it doesn't work, and I was stuck there. The end. This game is silly, but also it has nothing to do with Fnaf outside of the game's title and the fact you play as a guard watching cameras. So, yeah. This one's just straight up called Fnaf Security Breach Runner. What is this game? Fnaf Security Breach Runner is a fever dream and a half. You play as a heinously stretched out Glamrock Freddy, and you have to run away from Among Us crewmates that are also stereotypes of indigenous people.
Her 45-degree ponytail makes her look like a Native American.
The environment you're running through is literally just a reskinned Subway Surfers map, with the only discernible difference in the gameplay being the existence of these enemies that are so trivial that you can just walk through them so long as you're rolling. Besides that, it's just a less responsive Subway Surfers. In fact, it's so bad that the camera gets jittery just by playing the game like normal. The camera is also a bit behind when it comes to height, which means that things like this happen way more often than they should. There's even a vacuum power-up that hovers around the player model and sucks up coins. But wait, look at all these assets. Most of them aren't Fnaf themed. And this leads to the most interesting thing surrounding the game. Because this wasn't always a Fnaf Endless Runner, but instead, yet another shameless reskin of another game. In fact, I actually remember playing a different game exactly like this. Run with Ryan was a ripoff version of Tag with Ryan that I played in my YouTuber Mobile Games video. And it's literally the exact same game. Even down to the way our main character is being circled by a threat. So this game isn't even original in its absurdity. With that being said, at least we have skins. The animations are all exactly the same, but hey, The model is different. Very good, I like. Overall, this game looks like something you'd see from Fun Video TV, which isn't very good. Hey, are you guys scared yet? 'Cause if you're not, you're about to be. Now we're playing Playtime World's Monster Ground. While the title implies that it's a Poppy Playtime ripoff, the screenshots indicate that there are a number of Fnaf characters here. Which means, yeah, I technically count it as a Fnaf ripoff. So in this game, you play as a scary monster, and you have to murder 6 people in a silly little hide-and-seek game. This is just yet another terrible, hyper-casual nothing burger of a game. The main gimmick is that you get other monster parts you can merge to get a new, more powerful character. The issue comes in when you realize that, like the other hyper-casual game, nothing you do really matters because the game just has a bunch of giant arrows to tell you exactly where the people are hiding. But don't worry, you don't just have to play as the monster. You can also make the choice to play as a hider. And when you play as a hider, the monster bots all of a sudden have literally no idea where you are, and forget where you go as soon as you walk out of their sight. Yeah, the difficulty in this game is clearly tailored for things to be easy for you no matter which side you choose. Hearing the ideas of this game, it seems pretty cool. But no, instead we just have a much worse version of Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th the game. No type of skill is necessary here. But just in case you were struggling, you can watch an ad! Now you can get Poppy Playtime arms and Venom. My guess is that the game was designed like this because it gives a power rush to whoever's playing. Because the only way a game can be enjoyable is if you're winning 24/7. Overall, once again, there isn't much to talk about here. Hyper-casual games have no substance, and you'll forget everything about this game as soon as it leaves your short-term memory. Here we got 5 Tries at Love 2. I'm playing the sequel because I think FNAF 2 is more fun than the first game, don't at me. This is a dating simulator game that centers around you dating FNAF characters in Jumpscare Academy. But before any of that lame stuff, first we gotta pick a name. Hell yeah. So the gameplay loop goes like this. You're in an anime high school, and you have 5 days to get the animatronic of your dreams to fall in love with you. And also graduate and stuff, but that's not as important. To accompany you on your journey, you have the royalty-free music and sound effects that simply remind me of the Minecraft trolling videos from 2013. You can perform actions like studying and cleaning up rooms, but that makes you lose energy, which you refill by either sleeping in a bed inside the school. Wait, why is there a bed inside the school? Or it automatically refills at the beginning of the next day. As you talk to the characters, you get to learn more and more about them. There's a poster of Balloon Boy that sells you stuff like actions, which you could use to gain rapport with your classmates. Talking to the characters has 2 phases. Initially, you just talk to the characters and lose energy, or give them something. But phase 2 is where things really start to get interesting. Now, you're no longer just listening to the characters talk, you actually have to come up with a reasonable response to have some sort of conversation. This is where you learn about some of this game's lore. For example, Chica wears the puppet mask because she's shy and kawaii. She also apparently killed Freddy according to some dialogue from Golden Freddy. That's literally Cypher by Kevin MacLeod! You aren't keeping any of this from me, game! I am a YouTube guy! So we've made it to the end of the game. And, oh, we're going through a door, and that's it. Where's anything interesting? Come on, game! I know there are some other interesting things that this game has to offer, but I don't know, maybe I just happened to get the worst ending possible. Very sad. Overall, you can definitely tell that this was an older release. It's low quality in the visuals and sound departments make that especially clear. But that also means that the game has an amount of charm to it that the more modern games simply don't have. Being able to hang out with Golden Freddy, who may have a serious mental disorder, someone get him help, is pretty enjoyable overall. And I guess kicking Bonnie is funny too. Freddy, please get help! You know what, I think I actually liked you better in Sane. In the first FNAF ripoffs, I briefly played this game called Bear Haven. And originally, I stopped playing it after a few minutes because I almost fell asleep trying to get past the first part of the game. But this time, we're back! And More awake than ever. This game's okay. Much like when I played the other Bearhaven game, I wasn't playing for all too long. But I at least played through the very first night, and it's actually pretty well executed. The game starts with a spooky stylized opening cutscene, then we make it to our main menu. Much like the first game, while the graphics don't look all too scary outright, the tone manages to keep things interesting. But unfortunately, the quality of the transitions isn't great. And while it seems to be cosmetic only, it actually negatively affects the gameplay. In this game, you play as a security guard in charge of looking after Bearhaven Motel.
Those fake ads really drive you mad, huh? The game looks—
So you need to repair the systems whenever they're broken, using this map here as a guide. But you also have to hide from the evil, scary bear himself. You navigate the area by going into these different sets, but because of the transitions, you never really get a sense of direction around the area, leading to an overall worse experience. They really seem like a low spot here, giving off the same vibes as a school PowerPoint. Again, the tension here was executed pretty well, even with its cartoony art style. There are phones and clocks around the area that lure the bear if they get set off, and hearing the noises in the distance does cause some panic, as you have to run across the entire motel just to make it to these areas. But again, because of the transitions, this game isn't as intuitive as you might want. Overall, this game has some fine gameplay, and I'm sure things get more hectic with time, but the transitions, man, they kinda sour the deal for me. Lastly, we have Escape from Security Chapter 2. Now the funny thing here is that if you go to the developers page, there is no Chapter 1! Where is it, Yusuf? I want to play it, Yusuf! Upon opening the game, you get to see this wonderful menu featuring a stolen security breach screenshot. And it has the options to play or info. Let's get some info. Okay, so this game needs us to get 8 books before escaping. Sounds a bit familiar now, huh? I'm sure it's nothing. Without further ado, let's play some Escape from Security Chapter 2. So we spawn by the exit door next to a map, but we can't go through the door until we get 8 books. So let's just get to it. The map we're playing in is a backrooms-like maze, with a Fnaf security breach image as the wall texture. You basically just enter rooms, get keys to enter more rooms, and get books. Then when you get enough books, you can escape. But you also have to deal with Roxanne Wolf, who's real scary and also going after you. Also, she T-poses sometimes. Yeah, as you can tell, this game wasn't exactly put together well, and that's for a pretty simple reason. Is it just me, or does this gameplay seem real familiar? And this strange flying grandma doesn't exactly look like she belongs in the FNAF universe. It's almost as if she belongs to a different game. Looking back at the instructions, taking a close look here, we can see that this is actually just a reskin of Slenderina the Seller, a Slenderman inspired game that plays exactly the same as this cheap reskin. Overall, I guess if you're scared of this, then I suppose it makes for a silly alternative, but the game itself lacks all originality. So if you're gonna pick one, just choose the original. The game barely even functions properly. How does this even happen? How is this on the App Store? Looking at these new age FNAF ripoffs, you can really see how the standard mobile game has changed in the last few years. It's so strange to see that the original FNAF formula of checking cameras has been completely phased out by cheap hyper-casual garbage. And with the release of Security Breach, low-effort Unity asset swaps have been popping up and trying to capitalize on Security Breach. It kinda makes me sad with how many of those old camera power-preserving management games have been delisted over the last few years. And the few older games we have left don't follow that style. As a whole, these games only really steal the characters for marketing. The games themselves don't need these characters plastered here, but that ain't stopping these guys from just throwing them in anyways. I don't really know how to conclude it from here, but get jump scared, idiot. You didn't think I was gonna not do one.